Happy day, y'all. I am back. Kind of took a week off, not because I wanted to, but because we were on vacation in the mountains and my reception was horrible. So I didn't get to post or do any videos, but I'm back today, back in my office. If you hear anything in the background, it is my dog. He's actually on my prayer cloth on the floor. But anywho, I just wanted to talk to you about being here long enough. The intention was to come back to back and do different lessons, but life began to happen and it kind of took me out of my normal flow. But I was like, God, I got to get back. So I am back, and it was good just to get away because it helped me to refresh. It helped me to kind of like revitalize and come back. It's always hard to come back after you've been gone, but I made it a purpose. I made it like intention, like focus intention of coming back, not coasting just because it's the end of the year, but to be intentional about these last 31 days. So been here long enough. We talked about when you're in a place where you keep seeing the same things over and over. It's like being in a bad relationship and you leave and you come back and you're always drawn back. But learning about yourself and embracing those things, even the things that might not be things that you really like about yourself, but embracing them allows you to be able to move forward and to make the changes necessary to continue to be healthy and continue to live a healthy and whole life. Are you going to get everything right every day? Probably not, but it's about the stick-to-itness. It's about sticking with it, staying in it, and even if you fall or you kind of, sway and fall off, it's all about the comeback. And people don't understand that when you're going forward, you don't have to. We have this perfect expectation and we put these unrealistic expectations on ourselves, not thinking about that we're not perfect. We're not perfect. So you have to kind of account for that as well. But you also have to allow Holy Spirit to be able to be a part of your journey in those areas where you fall short. He's able to take that and to hold your hand and to guide you and to give you the wisdom and the knowledge and the discipline and self-restraint, everything that you need to be able to move forward. I wrote down something this morning about moving from the place of been here long enough. You have to remember, bad habits are hard to break, but new habits are also hard to make. The same concept is used, just the same way you build a bad habit, you must build a new habit to take the place of that bad habit. Now, to me, a bad habit is easy because you don't have to exercise discipline and self-restraint. Now, consistency definitely is involved in both of them because you're in the bad habit, you're consistently doing it every day, which it begins to build the same way as when you're beginning a new habit. Consistency, you have to purposely exercise consistency. To me, it's a little bit harder going against the grain versus, I always use the analogy of the can of biscuits where you bust it open and they just hanging out. That's kind of like a bad habit. You don't have to do nothing. You just do the bad habit and just you begin building. Whereas with a new habit, you have to be intentional. You have to be consistent. You have to exercise wisdom. You have to exercise self-restraint. You have to exercise, did I say consistency? You have to purposely, intentionally do these things to move from the been here long enough. And you have what you need on the inside of you to be able to move to a different place. I'm not saying that you can do it on your own, because there's a team, and there's no I in team. Like for me, I have my family, I have Holy Spirit, I have my counselor, and I have a group of people that hold me accountable. I was in my counseling session yesterday, and she was telling me what keeps us from not going forward and being drawn back to the old is because the old is familiar. You know what's going to happen next. Whereas in the new, you don't have a clue what's coming next. You kind of just got to go with the flow. And that is where Holy Spirit comes in, because he knows the plans that he has for you. So you must invite him in and allow him to take the reins, so you will be comfortable, not comfortable, but be able to trust where he's leading you. That is why that relationship between you and he, I don't know if that's correct, but who cares? That's why that relationship right there is so important, because you have to have a certain level of trust to be able to go somewhere that you've never gone before. But know that you can do it, and know that on the other side of fear, there is always something great, but we have to be able to get on the other side of familiar and the other side of fear. So I'll see you when God gives me something else. I will jump back on the subject of been here long enough, because some of us have been here so long that we think this is our normal, and we think this is our end, and we think this is where we need to be. But there is always room for growth. Happy day.